Image Comics explores another popular G.I. Joe character when they send Scarlett in to infiltrate a human trafficking ring, but she's surprised to find a missing colleague by the name of Jinx. We're going to talk about it right here in our review of Scarlett #1 from Image Comics. See you in 3. Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is our review of Scarlett #1. So the Energon universe is getting a little bit bigger, and they've decided to focus on Scarlett, who is a member of the classic G.I. Joe team, and writer Kelly Thompson has been tapped to come in and write a 4-part miniseries about the character of the same name. So, does this issue hold up? Does it make the Energon universe bigger, better, brighter, faster, stronger, whatever else? Maybe not so much. The story begins with Scarlett parachuting into the waters outside a small resort on the edge of Monaco. She gets rid of her gear on the beach, changes into a very form-fitting and attractive mini dress, and then she enters into the compound to blend into a party that's in process. You can hear in her earpiece that she's got remote tactical support, and she is being told to just blend in and learn and observe. What's her mission? She's been sent undercover to find out the details of a potential human trafficking ring, and the entire party is a cover for an auction that's happening on some other level. The person in the earpiece for Scarlett is telling her, you are just to gather intel, do not engage, do not try to attack anybody. If you find anybody, don't do anything. However, Scarlett completely goes off script when she notices a small group of potential auctioneer participants or customers entering the party, and their lead security person is Jinx, who is a longtime friend and somebody who's been reported as missing for about 2 years. Jinx obviously knows that Scarlett is there as well, because she's giving off secret signals not to pursue, not to follow, not to engage as well, even though Scarlett is anxious to find out where Jinx has been this entire time and what's going on. So Scarlett ignores the signals and follows the group down into a lower section of the compound. There, they see that Jinx's group has started attacking all the security guards that are auctioning off women in some kind of sex ring or slave ring or what have you. And a big fight's breaking out. Rather than just sitting back and watching, Scarlett leaps in, tries to make sure that the girls stay alive, and also when one of the security guards starts going after Jinx, Scarlett takes him out and effectively allows Jinx to escape with one of the girls who was apparently the target of Jinx's mission the entire time. By the end of the mission, the human trafficking ring is shut down. Scarlett has helped to secure at least almost a dozen girls that need to be rescued, and Jinx has gotten away in a helicopter with one girl in particular. When Scarlett returns from her mission, she gets a very thorough dressing down from her superior officer because she broke protocol and engaged when she wasn't supposed to. But Scarlett doesn't seem to really care too much. She knows that what she did is right. When she gets back to her house, she finds it open and somebody's waiting for her. It's Stalker. And Stalker says, I know you've been looking for Jinx. I hear your mission didn't go so well with your boss, and I have a mission for you if you're willing. So we've got to get into the Arashikage clan's compound, because that's where Jinx went, and that also happens to be the same location where there's a weapon I want to get returned to us that's been stolen. So your mission, if you're willing to accept it, is to break into the Arashikage clan's compound, get Jinx, get the weapon, and I'm going to loan you out one of our Joes by the name of Snowjob to get you there and sneak you in. As the narrative unfolds, we get little snips and snatches of flashbacks to a period 4 years ago where we see how Scarlett and Jinx became friends and had really developed a close relationship. So we now know that Scarlett is motivated on a personal level to get Jinx back, so she does accept the mission. The issue concludes with Scarlett sneaking into the Arashikage compound with the help of Snowjob, who gets her to that mountaintop location. She breaks in and does a full-on frontal assault, takes out ninjas, takes out any fighters get in her way. But when she gets to the Hard Master, who is the leader of the Arashikage clan, she submits herself as a potential acolyte, which will get her into the clan and possibly get everything back that she's looking for. So that's the setup in a nutshell. Let's move over to the technical aspects, starting with the character work. So as best as we can tell, Kelly Thompson pretty much nails Scarlett's voice, character, personality, and she does it through the show don't tell approach of storytelling. So you get a plenty of action, things are happening, not getting a lot of exposition or walls of text and dialogue. So if you're a new reader and you want to kind of get a sense of Scarlett's personality, how she's courageous, how she's assertive, and she's a rule breaker when the situation calls for it, you get all that, which is a good start. There is a small point of concern, which might be just maybe we're reading into it too much, but given where we are with comics these days, especially with a writer like Kelly Thompson, wouldn't be surprised. The relationship that's shown briefly between Scarlett and Jinx looks like it's more than just pals. I'm not saying that's where Thompson is going, but it could potentially be a setup for a romantic relationship, which, if Thompson goes that route, would definitely be a canon breaker and probably would not be well received by longtime diehard Joe fans. Is it going to go that route? Not sure, but their chumminess seems more than just casual friends. Let's switch gears and talk about the art from Marco Ferrari. It's perfectly good. The backgrounds look great. The settings look great. The fight choreography is done well, and the panel compositions and layout is all solid. Good stuff. That said, where you get maybe not the best visual art presentation is on the wide shots and some of the mid shot panels, where characters may be a little bit in the foreground, and when they do that, you lose a heck of a lot of character detail. Close-ups and very near shots all look great. As soon as you get a little bit past the foreground, a lot of the detail gets lost, and the characters wind up looking like outlined blobs, which is not a good thing for the art quality. Quality should be better than that. Let's move over to talk about pacing and structure. The pacing is good. The script flows relatively well. The scenes transition pretty smoothly from one to the next, and when you get that part of back and forth between the present and the flashback that establishes the relationship between Jinx and Scarlett, the back and forth is pretty smooth and easy to follow. So generally speaking, the structure when it comes to pacing is good. On the plot side, here's where things might be off a little bit. The setup is very weak in terms of a G.I. Joe specific spy thriller. It feels very generic. If you're not a G.I. Joe fan or familiar with Scarlett, you kind of have to get into the story a little bit because there's nothing G.I. Joe-ish about the story. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the big picture piece. But yeah, this feels not terrible, but just very generic and safe. Let's switch over to talk about the themes. For lack of a better term, the central theme, or the core theme of this comic, is heroism. Scarlett is continually putting herself in danger to save for example, the victims of a human trafficking ring. When the brawl breaks out, she takes very aggressive steps to make sure not only are the victims of the human trafficking ring safe, but also that Jinx is safe. And then she later accepts the mission from Stalker to infiltrate the Arashikage compound, primarily to save her friend rather than the weapon that Stalker is looking for. So it's all about Scarlett setting herself up as a hero. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. So this is kind of the secondary weak point of the structure of the plot and the script. If you took out the names Stalker, Scarlett, Snowjob, etc., this feels like a very generic comic. There is almost no very G.I. Joe specific connection from this story to what you would think of as G.I. Joe. There's got to be some sort of eclectic military outfit piece, maybe with a little bit of sci-fi worked into it. There's got to be something there that makes it feel like a G.I. Joe comic. This does not. This feels very generic in the vein of, for example, Kelly Thompson, I believe, has written Black Widow for Marvel. If you swapped out Scarlett with Black Widow, you wouldn't know the difference at all. So this feels very plain Jane across the board and missing anything that gives it that G.I. Joe flavor and feel. And then when you even peel that back further, this is supposed to be a mini-series highlighting one of the characters that is part of the interconnected Energon universe. There is nothing Energon related going on here. There's nothing about Transformers. There's nothing about the conflict between G.I. Joe and Transformers or Cobra or anything else. So if the idea was to spotlight a character who's part of this interconnected universe, you get the spotlight. The spotlight feels interchangeable with any generic redheaded super spy, And then as far as being part of an integrated universe with other things going on, like G.I. Joe's fight with Cobra and Transformers now being part of that universe, this feels completely disconnected from all of that. Final thoughts: what do we think about Scarlett #1 from Image Comics? We got G.I. Joe's, one of G.I. Joe's most popular super spies, on a mission to save her long lost friend from a ruthless clan of ninjas. Thompson's script moves well, and Scarlett's voice and personality are, I think, pretty consistent with who we understand her to be for longtime G.I. Joe fans. But the setup is very, very generic spy stuff, almost interchangeable with any spy story that you can imagine. There's no clear connection to anything that even remotely seems like a G.I. Joe comic. And there's absolutely even less of a connection to anything that even remotely feels like it's part of the interconnected Energon universe. Plus, the art is good in some spots, but weak in others. So the overall net visual effect is just average. Therefore, we're going to give Scarlett #1 for Image Comics and Skybound a 6.8 out of 10. Leave a thumbs up if you were looking forward to this comic, because you're a G.I. Joe fan and or a Scarlett fan. I want to know, and if this review kind of changed your mind one way or the other, or it reinforced what you thought it might be. Leave a comment. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinions about this stuff, because we're interested in the Energon universe, and last month's sales numbers indicate that the Energon universe is the only thing that's keeping Image in the #2 spot, which is a good thing. So thank you very much for joining, and if you like reviews just like this one, please stay tuned for the outro for more.